Alright, so squats went pretty well. I was feeling a bit of fatigue during my sets and just this morning before I came into the gym. But it's nothing that I wasn't expecting just because of all the stuff that I'm doing earlier in the week. I am expecting it to be a little less next week because even though I am doing more weight with everything, I program my squats and deadlifts to be a little bit more sub max before my top week because that felt really good last block. And I think the primary reason why they felt so weird, or why I felt kind of bad today, is because of the new stimulus with my hamstring curls and especially my adductors, because my adductors, like, they've been sore since Monday, and doing those tempo squats 2 days ago didn't help either. They weren't that heavy, so it didn't really add to the fatigue. It just kind of stalled the recovery. But yeah, everything felt pretty good today. I have noticed that my quads or like just quad accessories in general, don't really fatigue me as much, so I can still push them pretty decent and be okay. And tomorrow is my secondary day, which I do have to be a little bit lighter. Still want it to be stimulating, but I also need to be recovering for Monday. But yeah, strength is still there. So nothing that I absolutely need to change right now. Definitely gonna keep an eye on it to make sure if anything gets worse. But I am pretty confident my adaptations probably gonna be kicking in the second or third week. Even with that said, I do have this block programmed to where at the end of week 4, I'm going to need a deload, because I noticed last week's deload wasn't really absolutely necessary because I didn't have too much fatigue. I really could have just restarted the block. But yeah, I think that's, oh no. So for squats, I noticed it on for my tempos, but right out of the hole, I kind of have a sticking point at about mid-range, and I noticed where I found out the problem was a glute weakness. So my glutes just have a hard time pulling my body back in after my adductors push them out. So I do want to be fixing that imbalance. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I might actually just take adductors out, since they're already strong enough, and doing sumo and squats might be a little bit too much for my hips. Actually, yeah, that does sound like a good idea. But for my back downs, I try to cue pulling myself in a little bit. My first set didn't really work since I was fatigued from my top set, and it was still a relatively heavy weight, so new cues aren't going to work that well for it. But I did try For my second back down, I turned my feet in very slightly, and I tried to kind of visualize the pattern that I wanted and make sure my glutes were activated before I started the movement, and it felt a lot smoother than the first set. So I definitely want to be focusing in on that, and I think I'm gonna have an easier time now that my adductors are likely gonna be taken out, so I'll have a little bit less fatigue for my secondary squats. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it.